What is the mind of man? Are these gray cells but a malevolent moleculosis? Or is there hidden there in the tangled strands of the mind of man some tiny spark that sets him aside from the beast? Was man meant a man, or did the Maker in a moment of madness breathe the breath of life into the brain of a beast? What matter whence came the clay that bonded these bones and made us a man from the mud? If there is a spark in the mind of man, let us fan its flame until it becomes a beacon that burns a bright path for our soul. If there is a spark in the mind of man, let us nurture it, for if it dies, we are the dead. If it dies, we are the dead.
I'm not afraid of being dead, at all. When I'm dead, I'm gone. And we're each an incredible mixture of subatomic particles, and with these things, the incredible arrangement inside our head, we can think. And we can have awareness of self and even think abstractions. When I'm dead, all of those connections are gone. The person realizes they'll never get done the things they want to do, It's a jillion times better to die without finishing everything in one sense of the word. Look at all the elderly people that have retired and they're finished. They just sit back and that's it. They're done. And I don't want to be done until I'm dead. Things aren't always what they seem to be. Doesn't that look strange? Box impossible. Nothing like a box at all. The automatic pilot inside your head tells you it's a box. And that's the funny part about some of these optical illusions. You know what it is, yet beneath this conscious level, it identifies it as something different. And that's one of the things that shows us how easy it is to be mistaken when we see something and it's easy to misinterpret. Welcome to the castle of chaos, where dreams are born, home of Jerry Andrus, and many strange things to boggle the mind. Welcome to the castle of chaos. I don't think I've ever been content, and I hope I never am. you would think that just contentment would be the ideal thing. For one thing, it would be boredom if you still have the capacity and you're not using it. So I don't think we should be content. We can be happy that we've done something. We can be proud of something we've done. But I think that's different than contentment. Let's say you're just climbing the hill to get to the top. Well, then where can you go except down? So one way of looking at it, you climb to the top of the hill, and then you can look all around and you can see someplace else to go and do things. And it's fine to lay down at night and sleep, but in the daytime, the capacity of a human being is so great that we'd be foolish, as far as I'm concerned, if we wasted on contentment. I think I'm a lot happier than the average person. I know how lucky I am. Kind of like an affirmation of the wonder of life, I think. A thing of wonder. What are the sparks that light the particles that move to form the channels of perception in the mind of man? How move the subatomic particles to give us this incredible awareness of self, the consciousness of man? What mixes the formula that spins the patterns of reason and drives the engines of knowledge? No matter what or how, it is indeed a thing of wonder. This is what I call my trizonal space warper. Start staring right at the center of the trizonal space warper while it's spinning. Keep staring right at the center. Keep staring right at the center. Keep staring right at the center of the trizonal space warper. Keep staring right at the center. Now, look back at me.
Our first story takes us to the magical realm of master magician Jerry Andrus.
こちらが視覚トリックの第一人者ジェリー・アンドレスさんなんです。
You may be wondering why you're going to see a magician on a science show.
Un maestro de la ilusión óptica, Mr. Jerry Andrus.
Real strange sounds.
Jerry has nothing up his sleeve, and his hands are not quicker than the eye.
The magician tries to fool us by distorting the truth, and the scientist seeks to educate us by discovering the truth.
Would you agree that the greatest thing that man can do is search for the truth? Can you zoom in on this? Is that possible?
Seeing is not always believing.
ジェリーさんの鼻の辺、ノーズですね。はい。
Jerry Andrus is the only magician who could consistently fool other magicians. That's because they have their own preconceptions about how things. They all come out of the same. We all come out of the same culture. But Jerry's on one different person. Everything Jerry does is his own invention. So he comes from a different world in a way, and so they're not ready for what he's doing. And again, so he fools them all the time. My name is Ray Hyman. I'm a professor emeritus. That means I retired. Professor emeritus of psychology at the University of Oregon. Most magicians will tell you that they believe in misdirection. I mean, that you got to misdirect people. Jerry, in many senses, in a very important sense, doesn't believe that. I think that's the wrong thing. So when you take a card and put it in a deck, many magicians will immediately shuffle the cards up, and then they'll find your card somewhere or other. Well, for Jerry, that's not magic. You confuse the person, but the person doesn't magic because no one knows where that card is when it's mixed up. For Jerry, he thinks it's magic if you have them put the card in them, they can see where they put the card, no shuffling of the card, and then the card comes out at the top of the deck or comes up somewhere else. That's magic because they believe they know where it is. So for him, that's real magic. Another thing about Jerry's magic is that most magicians also talk about, including myself, that when you present magic, you got to know how to present it. Really, it's not the effect, not the trick itself. It's you got to know how to sell it to create the magic illusion. You got to create an aura. You got to have the right kind of pattern, stuff like that. Jerry uses none of that. He lets the magic speak for itself.
Now, if what I do as a magician doesn't primarily fool you, then I'm not doing my proper job as a magician. But if I do or say anything that makes anybody feel foolish, then I'm not doing my proper job as a human being. So I want to pause and tell you why I can probably fool you. I can probably fool you because you are the most incredibly wonderful thing that I know of that exists in the universe. And you have this wonderful human mind that works like my human mind. And this thing inside our head is constantly jumping to conclusions. You don't look at a horse and wonder what it is, or a car, or a chair. You don't look at the front of a house and wonder if it's a movie facade. All this stuff is automatic underneath, and that's one of the main reasons we can be fooled. What I do magic-wise, I want them to have no explanation for it. I want it to look like magic, but I don't want them to believe that it really is magic. This is zone zero, and whatever goes through that hole into zone zero, it instantly vanishes. Whatever goes through the hole into zone zero, it instantly vanishes. Now this is sort of like a functional black hole, because I can reach right in here and retrieve it. Now I did research on this, and I discovered the ball doesn't actually vanish when it goes through the hole. It's when I take my hand out that it's gone. I'm talking about totally, completely, absolutely gone, but always, instantly retrievable.
The first time I met Jerry, I actually saw him physically, was 1953 at a magic convention. Now, I knew of Jerry because he had just come out with his first book, was Andrus Deals You In. And at that time, all the card magicians in the world, the top-notch card magicians, were in either New York City or Chicago, and they were offsprings. They had been trained by the key people in one of those two cities, and anyone else was considered not good or anything. Well, Jerry was from the West Coast, and he'd published his book, and people knew about the book, but they thought this was pie in the sky type of stuff. No one could do that stuff. It just wasn't possible to do. And he came to this convention in 1953, and I remember being in a card room there. And at that time, the Chicago people would get on one side of the card table, it was a long table, and the New York people would be on the other side, and they would pass the cards around, and each one tried to outdo the other to show each other up. And anyone who wasn't from Chicago or New York, if they were there in the audience, they'd just sit there and watch. Well, when the cards came to Jerry, came his turn, he got up and started to do something, and they were all shocked, because who is this impertinent person who wasn't from New York or Chicago? He's going to do something for us? That's crazy. And Jerry started to do something. I actually described this in one of a book I wrote. It's a textbook in psychology called The Nature of Psychological Inquiry, because it makes a very good point. And Jerry started to do something which magicians know technically as a looked like he was doing a slop shuffle. And so they all said, oh my God, he's doing that simple thing, But then they wanted to wait, because the one part of the slop shuffle, when you do it that way, is what's called a half pass. And there was a big fight whether anyone could do a half pass, even the best magician, but they could do that without getting away with it, do it so it can't be seen. And so they were watching very closely at that point where Jerry was supposed to straighten all the cards out, and Jerry didn't do a thing. And he put the cards down on the table and spread them out and all facing the same direction. And there was a hush in this room because no one knew how this couldn't be, you know. So they turned to the guy sitting at the head of the table, and the magician sitting at the head of the table. He was a typical New Yorker, and he wasn't going to give Jerry any credit at all if he could. So someone said, "Did you see his pass?" And this guy at the head of the table said, "He didn't do a pass. I saw what he did. He switched the decks." So everyone relaxed for a while, and then they realized switching the decks would have been even more difficult to do under those circumstances. So finally someone across the table said, "Oh, Harry," that's the magician at the top head of the table, "Harry, he did the pass. I saw him do it, but he did it very well." Well, it turned out Jerry didn't neither of those things. He hadn't done, in the first place, hadn't done the standard slop shuffle. He'd done something of his own, and they assumed that's what he was doing. And so he took this whole room with 30 of the world's top magicians. They thought of that. He fooled them completely.
Jerry Andrus from Oregon.
I want people to know when I perform as a magician that I can fool them because they're wonderful and have a wonderful mind.
This is Jerry Andrus, February the 25th, 1973. I'm transferring some of my tapes. Side 1, Channel 1.
You know, the other day I saw a flying saucer. In fact, it went right over the top of my house. In fact, it landed in my backyard. Now I know you expect me to say I saw a little green man get out. Well, that's exactly what I expected. But it wasn't. It was a woman. And she wasn't green. And she was beautiful. And she ran to me. And she threw her arms around me. And she kissed me. And do you know what? She kissed me again. And I looked into her eyes. They were beautiful, beautiful. All 5 of them. Violet, indigo, blue, green, and yellow. And I fainted, not because of her eyes. It was her head. I mean the other one. It was a blonde, and she kissed me. And I fainted, not because of the head. It was her arms. all of them. I couldn't breathe. Love, wonderful love. Her name was Euphoria, sweet forgetfulness, and she whispered sweet nothings in my ear, and I fainted. It wasn't her words, it was her little brother. He was 12 feet tall, and then he stood up, and he said, "Roar!" And I fainted again. But I woke up in her arms, and I flipped him a quarter and said, "Get lost, Sonny. Your sister and I want to be alone together." Then she ran the fingers of her third left hand through my curly hair. And she fainted. My toupee came off in her hand. She thought it was a live Martian muskrat nesting in a warm, smooth spot. But that was a long time ago. Sweet memories. Son, your mother and I have told you. Please don't interrupt while I'm talking.
Reason you need to do that? There it is. Here it is.
No, that's the...
No, hold on to everything tightly.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay, now tilt it.
Yeah, but you don't
that way. Oh, we don't want to go this way?
You don't understand.
You don't want to go this way.
No.
One of the greatest things in my experience, in my life, is having a brother next door.
This is designed for this.
Who can advise me on electronic, mechanical things that I'm not familiar with.
No, tilting this way, but we're trying to tilt sideways like this. And I don't think it's designed to tilt sideways.
Well, that's strange, isn't it?
So Providence certainly has been with me and with Jerry, my brother, that I retired and came back to live next door to him. It's not simple retirement. It's a matter of coming and going and looking at all the things that need doing.
What project are you on today?
It hasn't been determined. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning.
I see. My brother makes apple juice, and when I drink that down, I think of how wonderful it is. This is Piper House. actually happens is your mind comes to the wrong conclusion for the right reason. Incredible we're both alive. I'm 83 and he's 85. Still doing things, and that's important. Very important. Open the door. If you do not open the door to the dawn of a new day, then it may not register as the glory it really is. It indeed is there, but you need to do more than open your eyes to see it. You must open your mind to truly drink in the wonder of a new day. Open the door. I think people need encouragement. Our mind needs encouragement to do something than just to carry our body around and do whatever job we're doing. And so I've encouraged my mind to think. Did you ever think about this think thing? I mean, this thing you think thoughts with. Like this morning, I thought a thought, and then I got to thinking, what if I just thought I thought the thought and didn't really think the thought that I thought I thought? It's something to think about. I guess there's probably not enough in life that encourages us to, by my standards, be reasonable. Mirror of your mind. When you look at you in the mirror, I mean the mirror of your mind, do you really see just what you want to see, or do you see the truth? Strive to live your life so that these two are the same.
Jerry is the most internally consistent person I know. He's what, in many ways, he's what he says he is. He is. He lives his principles completely, and he doesn't want to violate them at all. He's internally coherent, consistent, and so he certainly outdoes any, even the most religious person in the world. He outdoes them in terms of being consistent all the way with his principles.
I'm an agnostic because I see no evidence of a supreme being. I don't know how the universe came about, but when we look around, I don't see anything that violates natural laws.
I'm living in a world that is absolutely set in stone. You can't change a molecule in it. It's headed somewhere. And all it takes is a lot of smarts to know exactly where it's headed.
What I'm trying to say is the running of the world's up to us. We don't know how to do it perfectly, but if we leave the thing to God, it won't be done, I don't think, because I don't think there is one. People who are getting through the travail of this life to get their reward in heaven, they miss the glory here.
My reward, if I get any reward, I'm confident it'll be here. I think perhaps this expression is unique and original with me, that a wise man is confident, a fool is certain. So Jerry and I both want to leave our minds open so that we can change them if we want to.
Whether there's a God or not, whether there's a hereafter or not, it's incredibly important in what we do with our life while we're here on earth today. And since I don't think there's a hereafter, I think this is the only chance I have.
How did a guy growing up in Albany, Oregon, which is redneck country, you know, and they're very conservative in many ways, and stuff like that, how does he grow up in a place like that and be what he is? And it's still not clear what it is, but he may have told you the story. He was walking to school, home from school one day, and it dawned on him, you know, how come when our team, you know, plays another school and we win, you know, we're great, you know, we're wonderful. But when we lose, it's because they cheated and everything else is wrong, you know. What if I were going to the other school? And once he began asking that question, he never stopped, apparently.
Which one? Picture two men, one who believes stronger in the fatherhood of God than the brotherhood of man. The other who believes stronger in the brotherhood of man than the fatherhood of God. Which one do you think would do more good during his life on earth? Which one? I don't think there's anything that violates the way the world works. So if I see or hear something that seems to, I'm more fascinated with it than the average person. We shouldn't rule out any questioning of what we believe. Sure, there are times when it's more fun to believe something maybe, but over the long haul, I think we need to just know and face the truth.
Well, he's broad-minded in some ways. He's closed-minded in some ways. He's Jerry Andrus. He's actually, I think, he's probably, you know, there's some debates what makes genius, what is a genius. But he's one of the few people I can say truthfully I know who I can, without reservation, say is a genius. The guy is a genius. He's very special.
Contentment is a stagnation that says to the mind of man, lie still. Contentment is a substitute for fulfillment that weaves its subtle platitudes into a euphoric fog that obscures the waters of the rivers of time until the hours have fled and the years are gone, and we have impaled the living brain that was ours on a crucifix that was made of our own hand. Contentment is a curse that makes of man not the driver, but the driven.
Once I walked where wonder was, saw it in the glory of the sunrise, as I walked in the gardens of the earth. Once I walked where wonder was, through the hills and valleys of earth. Long ago that was, when first I walked where wonder was. Now it is different, for when I look at the picture of the world that enters my eyes and mind, I see and feel even more of that wonder. Once I walked where wonder was, I still do, and I feel it even more. Hello, test, testing, 1, 2, 3, hello, test.
Then along came a beautiful view. Walking into my life, it was you. Let's pretend and it will disappear. Let's pretend that the world isn't here. Let's pretend that it will disappear. Let's pretend that the world isn't here. Let's pretend and it will disappear.